The American grocery landscape is going through a contraction. Most shoppers do not notice until the store they have used for years has a going out of business sign on the door. 12 chains are closing locations across the country right now, and the reasons behind each are different. Number 1. Kroger. Kroger announced closures of underperforming locations and pulled back from certain markets following the collapse of its attempted merger with Albertsons, which the Federal Trade Commission blocked in February 2025 after ruling that the combination would harm competition and lead to higher prices for consumers. The failed merger left Kroger having spent years and significant resources preparing for an integration that never happened. And the company has since been rationalizing its store portfolio by exiting markets where it holds a weaker competitive position rather than investing in locations that would require significant capital to become genuinely competitive against stronger regional players. The company has also been dealing with the operational consequences of years during which merger preparation consumed management attention and capital that might otherwise have been directed towards store investment and customer experience. Improvements in locations that are now being evaluated for closure. Number 2. Albertsons. Albertsons found itself in a similarly difficult position after the Kroger merger collapsed, having structured much of its near-term strategic planning around a transaction that the FTC ultimately prevented. The company announced store closures and a period of operational restructuring as it pivoted back to operating as an independent chain rather than a division of what would have been the country's largest grocery operator. Albertsons has particularly significant exposure in Western markets where it competes against both Kroger and a strengthening group of specialty and discount grocers that have been taking share from traditional supermarket operators over the past several years. The company's debt load, which increased during the years when it was positioning itself as an attractive merger partner and then defending against regulatory challenges, has made the post-merger restructuring period more financially constrained than it would be if Albertsons were navigating the same competitive environment from a stronger balance sheet. Number 3. Stop and Shop. Stop & Shop, which is owned by the Dutch conglomerate Ahold Delhaize, announced the closure of 32 underperforming stores across the northeastern United States in 2024, representing one of the more significant single-chain closure announcements in the traditional supermarket category in recent years. The closures were concentrated in markets where the chain had been losing grocery share to a combination of discount operators, including Aldi and Lidl, which have significantly expanded their U.S. footprints, and to warehouse clubs, including Costco and BJ's Wholesale Club, which have captured an increasing share of the fill-in grocery trip that once belonged to traditional supermarkets in suburban northeastern markets. Aldi's U.S. expansion, which has now taken the chain past 2,400 domestic locations and toward an announced target of 2,600, represents one of the most sustained competitive threats to traditional supermarket economics in the northeastern markets where Stop & Shop had previously been the dominant full-service operator. Number 4. Winn-Dixie. Winn-Dixie entered a transition period beginning in 2023 when Aldi, the German discount grocery operator, acquired approximately 400 Winn-Dixie and Harvey's supermarkets locations in the southeastern United States, with the stated intention of converting most of them to the Aldi format while closing others that did not fit its store footprint or market coverage needs. For communities where a Winn-Dixie had operated as the primary full-service grocery option, the conversion to an Aldi model represents a significant change in available product range and format. And locations that do not meet Aldi's conversion criteria have simply been closed, leaving some communities with meaningfully reduced grocery access. The Aldi acquisition of Winn-Dixie locations represents the largest single transaction in Aldi's U.S. expansion history, and the pace at which those conversions complete will determine how much of the regional grocery access in southeastern communities transitions to a discount format versus being lost entirely. Number 5. 99 cents only stores. 99 cents only stores filed for bankruptcy protection and announced the closure of all 371 of its locations across California, Arizona, Nevada, and Texas in April 2024, representing one of the most complete and sudden exits from any regional retail category in recent memory. The chain had been a significant source of low-cost grocery staples, including canned goods, produce, and dairy items for lower-income communities in its operating markets, and its complete closure within a matter of weeks left some neighborhoods with a meaningful gap in affordable food access that other operators have been slow to fill in the months following the closures. The speed of the 99-cents only closure was notable specifically because the company filed and announced store closings within the same news cycle, giving employees only days of notice and leaving communities without the extended transition period that a more gradual wind-down might have provided. Number 6, Family Dollar. Family Dollar, which is owned by Dollar Tree, announced the closure of approximately 600 underperforming stores in 2024 as part of a broader portfolio rationalization effort following years of operational challenges and a difficult integration from when Dollar Tree acquired Family Dollar in 2015 for approximately $8.5 billion. Family Dollar's store base had expanded rapidly through the acquisition into many low-income and rural communities, where it served as a primary source of affordable grocery staples, and the planned closure of 600 locations represents a significant reduction in food access in some of those communities, particularly in rural areas where alternatives are not easily accessible without transportation. Dollar Tree's challenges with the Family Dollar integration included significant store conditions and shrinkage problems that it had to publicly disclose to investors, and the closures represent an acknowledgement that a substantial portion of the Family Dollar footprint was never going to be economically viable under Dollar Tree's ownership structure. Number 7, Walmart. Walmart announced the closure of multiple urban grocery locations, most visibly in Chicago, where it closed 8 stores simultaneously in April 2024 and issued a public statement acknowledging that none of those locations had been profitable during the company's ownership. The closures left food deserts in several Chicago neighborhoods that had specifically attracted Walmart's presence as part of city-led economic development efforts, and they highlighted a pattern visible in other urban markets where large format grocery retail has struggled to generate sustainable economics despite high population density, because the same density that creates a large potential customer base also creates the operating cost structure, including shrinkage, security, and urban real estate costs that erode the thin margins of grocery retail. Number 8, Save a Lot. Save a Lot, which operates through a hybrid wholesale retail model in which most locations are independently owned by local operators who purchase through the Save a Lot supply chain, has been experiencing a pattern of franchisee closures that accelerated through 2023 and 2024, as the economic environment for independent grocery operators became more challenging. Rising labor costs, food cost inflation that compressed margins on the value-priced products that define the chain's competitive positioning, and increasing competition from dollar store chains that have expanded their fresh and refrigerated food offerings have all contributed to individual operator exits that have reduced the chain's total store count significantly from its peak. The pressure on independent grocery operators has been particularly acute in markets where dollar stores have added refrigerated sections and fresh produce, because those additions allow dollar stores to capture the routine food purchase without needing to match the full-service supermarket experience that Save a Lot locations were providing. Number 9, Rite Aid. Rite Aid, which operates pharmacy-centered stores that also carry a significant range of grocery staples, convenience foods, and household products, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in October 2023 and has been closing stores systematically since the filing as part of a court-supervised restructuring process. The company had been losing share to both mail-order pharmacy competitors and to the pharmacy departments of grocery and warehouse club operators, while simultaneously carrying a significant debt load that made it difficult to invest in the store improvements that might have allowed it to remain competitive. The closures have been most concentrated in markets where multiple pharmacy competitors exist within close proximity, which is a pattern that reflects the overlapping expansion decisions made by pharmacy chains during the growth period of the early 2000s. Number 10, Big Lots. Big Lots filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in September 2024 and subsequently announced plans to close the majority of its approximately 1,400 locations after a sale of the business to a private equity firm fell through during the bankruptcy process. The chain had positioned itself as a discount general merchandise retailer with a significant food and grocery component, and its footprint in many communities included a grocery-adjacent product range that served as a supplementary food source for value-oriented shoppers. The sudden announcement of widespread closures left landlords, employees, and communities with very little transition time, and the pace of closures accelerated through the end of 2024 as the bankruptcy process moved toward a wind-down rather than a reorganization outcome. That scale of closure, arriving with minimal transition time, accelerated the timeline in ways that affected employees, landlords, and communities simultaneously. Number 11, Dollar General. Dollar General, which operates over 19,000 locations nationwide and has become the primary retail food source in many rural communities without access to traditional supermarkets, reported multiple quarters of declining same-store sales and shrinkage-related losses through 2023 and 2024, and has been closing its lowest-performing locations while pausing new store openings in certain markets. The company's strategic situation is particularly significant because in many rural counties, Dollar General is not a supplement to grocery access, it is the primary grocery access, meaning that even a modest reduction in store count can have a disproportionate effect on food access for communities with limited transportation options and no nearby alternatives. The rural food access implications are significant enough that several state agriculture departments have begun tracking Dollar General closure announcements as a food security indicator. Number 12, Southeastern Grocers. Southeastern Grocers, which operates the Winn-Dixie, Harvey's Supermarkets, and Fresco y Mas brands across the southeastern United States, and has undergone multiple rounds of bankruptcy and restructuring over the past decade, has been in an ongoing process of closing underperforming stores and exiting markets where its competitive position has become untenable against both discount operators and the increasingly aggressive store brand-focused strategies of national chains. The company's repeated restructuring cycles have made it difficult to invest consistently in the store experience, technology, and private label programs that have allowed competing chains to defend their customer relationships in the same markets. The pattern at Southeastern Grocers reflects a broader problem in traditional full-service grocery retail in the southeastern United States, where Publix has expanded consistently and effectively, while the chains that competed against it have cycled through repeated financial restructuring without ever achieving the kind of stable profitability that would allow sustained investment in the customer experience. Most of these closures are happening quietly, one location at a time, without the announcement that would make national news. If your primary grocery store is on this list, checking what alternatives exist in your market now is worth doing before the decision gets made for you.